Welcome to Rockstars, the podcast where high performance meets real life.
I'm Brent Lainger, joined by my wife, Jennifer Jones, and this is where we talk about rocks, rings, and everything in between.
It's about chasing dreams and asking, why not me?
And figuring out how to keep going when things get hard or hilarious.
Sometimes it's just us talking curling, business, family, and parenting.
Sometimes it's bigger conversations about success, pressure, and believing that anything is possible.
We keep it honest, uplifting, and fun.
We might even make you laugh.
Because this is about the wins, the losses, and real life in between. Rocks, rings, real life.
This is Rockstars.
Welcome back to Rockstars. Rocks, rings, and real life. The podcast where a couple of dream chasers open up about chasing big goals, living in the moment, navigating life's highs and lows, and figuring out what comes next on and off the ice. I'm Olympic and world curling champion Jennifer Jones, and beside me, as always, is my uber-talented husband, Brent Lang.
Well, who wrote that in there?
Brent, what's up for today's episode on Rockstars?
Well, Jen, it's Olympic season. And for those of you following along, we did the mixed doubles. So I think let's stick with the Olympic theme. There's 2 more events going on. So we told you what's going on in the Olympic mixed doubles field. Let's talk about the ladies and the men's. And of course, ladies first, I think. Does that make sense? You know, we even gave you some gold medal predictions. We'll do that. It's going to be difficult. Fields are great. But maybe a quick explanation on why I'm looking so good again today. Should we start with that? In case people didn't watch, these are Lainger's locks. I started this with the Grand Slam of curling this year. This is how good I used to look. Maybe not so much anymore. But Lainger's locks is just a fun kind of pick some winners each day. 1 ladies, 1 men's teams of the Grand Slam of curling. So a few people asked for it on social media. And like I've always said, we want to give the people what they want. This is what they want, for better or for worse. It's what you want. I know it. I can see it in your eyes.
Oh, yeah.
But anyway, this is where it's at. So if you're not listening, or if you're just listening to this episode and not watching on YouTube, you may want to check it out on YouTube, right?
Oh,
it's worth at least checking out. It'll be on on socials as well.
Yeah, interesting for sure.
Yeah.
But before we jump in, a quick shout out to our listeners. If you're loving the show, liking the show, hit that subscribe button and leave us a review. We'd really appreciate it. And follow us on our socials at blang99 on X, Laing, and at jjonescurl on Insta. It truly does mean the world to us. We're working on some Rockstar specific socials, but for now, these are your best bets. Seriously, we really do want to hear from you. We want to give you what you want and try to answer any questions that you have.
For sure. So let's dive in, right? Now, the Olympics only happens once every 4 years, as any human being really knows. I mean, it's the biggest sporting event on earth. Our entire sport, Jen, curling seems to be completely revolving around the Olympics now, for better or for worse. That may be another whole topic, maybe after the Olympics. But with that comes immense pressure and some potential upsets and madness, craziness. That's why we tune in. So let's start by checking out the women's Olympic teams. Jen, you know a thing or two about competing at the Olympics, having been there a couple of times, and even you know how to bring home a gold medal. So tell us a little bit, I think, about the field first.
The women's field is very, very deep. The one good thing about going to the Olympics is that each country is...
There's only one good thing?
Well, there's so many good things about competing at the Olympics. The Olympics themselves are extraordinary. So much fun if you allow yourself to really absorb what it means to be an Olympian and just kind of soak up the atmosphere. You see the flags of all the countries competing. You feel like you're in this kind of sports dream bubble. And it's incredible. You can go to the dining hall. You can just go around. You have your accreditation. And you just feel like for those weeks, you are a sports superstar. And you're just a part of this incredible big team.
I will say, I've been to a lot of cafeterias in my life. And that's what the dining hall is. But it's the coolest cafeteria in the world. You see all the different countries. And you see the Canadian flag over there. And it's like, you don't even know who they are. And you go sit with them. And it's like your best friends.
Yeah, like when you're in school and you're scared to sit.
That's the opposite of it.
You're scared to sit at a table, the cool kids table or the new kids table, and you don't want to ask if you can have lunch with them. Well, this is any Team Canada member. You're there, they're sitting down, you kind of just join them and it just feels like your family. And that's what is truly special about being a part of Team Canada or any country. I'm assuming it's the same, is that you feel that you've just kind of expanded your family and you're part of this big giant family who's there for each other. Very, very special. Okay. But one of the great things about competing at the Olympics or World Championship is that countries are only allowed to send one team. And there's the top 10 teams. It's based on points earned at the World Championship. That's another topic, whether that should be how it's qualified or not.
Write these down.
But teams are only allowed to send one team. So in Canada, we have 2 top teams. In the top 10, we had Rachel Homan and Carrie Anderson, but only Rachel Homan, she won the right. So she is the representative for Team Canada. Similar, Team Japan. So many teams in the top 10, 15 in the world. But again, there's only one team representing Japan at these Olympics. So if we go through the field, we'll just kind of just go through who's here, and then we'll get a little bit more into detail.
I like that idea. That's what my notes say in front of me, and I can't remember everything, so I got to write it down.
So we have Team Canada is Rachel Homan, and Team Japan is Sayaka Yoshimura.
Good one. Team China, Rui Wang. South Korea, Eunji Kim.
Denmark, we have Madeline Dupont. She has been to so many Olympics and always around, been representing Denmark for many years. And from Sweden, we have Anna Hasselborg.
The reigning Olympic gold medalist country, but only one of the players, the third, Jen Dodds on Team Morrison from Great Britain. Jen Dodds was on that team with Eve Muirhead. And of course, the team from Switzerland, Team Tiranzoni, fourth rock thrower Alina Petz.
And then we have the hometown hero, Stefania Constantini, and the United States of Tabitha Peterson. So that will be the Olympic field. One of those teams will say that they are Olympic champions at the end of the event.
10% chance. If you're a math whiz, you going in, 10% chance. That's not really how it works. But
I think some teams have a higher percent, but I guess, yeah, based on math.
If that's true, then some teams would have a lower percent chance as well.
Yes.
Oh, wow. Is that how that works? It's competition. Skills matter. Let's dive in. Let's talk world rankings maybe first. Not that they mean a ton, but they kind of do.
Yeah, no, I like that. Yeah, we can go. You want to start?
Sure.
With the world rankings?
Well, we've got, in the mixed doubles, we were missing a whole bunch of the top kind of 10 or 15 teams. Mixed doubles rankings is a bit different. In the ladies, not everybody's here, but everybody's here. World number 1 by a lot of points right now. Team Canada, Team Holman, obviously having a great season. They've won 3 Grand Slam of curling events. The last 2 years, they've been, lots of people have said unbeatable. But when we get to team number 2, you're going to realize that quietly, Rachel hasn't even had the best season in the world this year. It's actually been Team Switzerland, but they are number 1 for a reason. I think a lot of people say it's theirs to lose. One of the questions I have for this team and for Rachel is, I wouldn't ask it to her face, so hopefully she's not listening before she plays, but there are some demons in the Olympic memory bank. I was there in 2018 when they missed the playoffs. We didn't win a medal. That wasn't a great atmosphere in terms of the success, the results. So that weighs on her, and I think what it'll do is piss her off, and she'll come in and maybe dominate. And then they didn't quite make the playoffs in mixed doubles, last shot, measurement even, and so close in mixed doubles, her and Johnny Moe. So she's got something to prove on the Olympic level. She's won everything else, but this is the one she wants bad, and that can go one of 2 ways. But we're not into predictions yet, so I'm not going to tell you what's going to happen. But tell us about Team Switzerland. And Holman's record this year is 49-12. That's awesome. I didn't know this until I looked it up. Team Tiranzoni is 57-9.
I knew that.
That's better.
That is better.
Percentage-wise.
But Team Tiranzoni, they've been around for a long time. Very, very talented team. Alina Petz, it's arguable that she is the best last rock thrower in the game.
Mike Harris says it all the time, so that makes it true.
Well, Rachel Holman's pretty good too.
I think Rachel's pretty good.
Yeah. So we have a very good last rock thrower, which you need a great team, but you definitely need that last rock thrower who's going to make that big shot in the big moment. And Alina Petz has that. I've witnessed it firsthand. World Championship against her in the final. She made an unbelievable out-turn draw to the button that I'll never forget. It's like ingrained in my brain.
She wrecked and made it. Let's not give her too much credit on that one.
But she makes so many great shots, hits, draws, super talented. The team are very smart. They manage the scoreboard very well. But their Achilles heel, they don't beat Rachel Holman very often. They don't have a very good record against Team Holman. They tend to try to keep that scoreboard tight. They don't complicate things too much. And in my opinion, in order to beat Rachel Holman, you need to mix it up. You need to get aggressive early, get that team uncomfortable. That's when you're going to get some mistakes. They don't make very many. You have to force those mistakes. And when they do make a mistake, you have to pounce on that opportunity. So I believe that in order for Team Tiranzoni to stand on top of that podium, they're going to have to change a little bit. They're going to have to get a little bit more aggressive, take a few more chances, make other teams uncomfortable because they have the talent to back up that strategy.
And they've got some scar tissue as well. In China in 2022, Olympics, they went 8-1. They led the round robin, won the round robin. They left without a medal. They lost the semifinal and the final. So some doubt there. But yeah, I'm glad you commented on Silvana. I think she calls a great game, especially to beat everybody except Holman. But I think you're dead on. They got to mix it up against Holman and put some pressure on her. So Team Korea, Team Gim, number 3 in the world. So we got the top 3 teams in the world. That's pretty cool, right? I think. It's the Olympics. So. We want the best teams there. You know, at the Grand Slams this year, they had a semi at the Masters and the Players and 2 quarterfinals. She did play. Skip Unji played in 2014 in Russia, but didn't challenge for a medal. She would have been very young, very inexperienced. So a completely different team. They're always around. What will they have learned? Can she draw on that, or is that too long ago?
I think she's evolved a lot since then. I think what they're drawing on is their recent success, but they're going to have a little bit of a short memory for this season because they have not played very well this season heading into the Olympics. They've had a fairly good season, but not by their standards. They're not quite as sharp as we've seen, and it's the skip position where they're just not making the shots that they were before. They call a game very aggressive, not afraid to be aggressive, put pressure on the opposition, but they call a game where they have to make every shot, and when they don't, they get into trouble.
We'll see how that goes. Their record this year so far, 50-24, respectable. But like you said, they've been knocking on the door for the last few years, ready to make a move. Will it happen in Italy? Time will tell. Tell us about Team Yoshimura from Japan, Jen. 37-29 on the year. That's not great, but they did win the OQE, so they're battle tested. That goes a long way, I think, in some confidence. Quarterfinal and semifinal finish at the Grand Slams, 3 DNQs. First Olympic Games. That's always an overwhelming experience. Works for some, not for others. But what can you tell us about Japan?
Team Japan, very similar to Team Gim, very aggressive. They'll throw double center guards pretty much any end and every end.
Love it.
I love it too. And they actually play very well against Team Homan. They put pressure on. And that's why if I'm another team watching, I'm seeing what Team Yoshimura does because they just seem to put a lot of pressure on Team Homan. But again, like Team Gim, because of the game they call, if their last rock thrower if Sayaki Yoshimura is not making those shots when she has to, they give up big ends. They get into trouble. So it's a game where they have to be very precise with their shots. But if they are, then they do have a lot of success. I like where they're trending. I didn't think they started the year off very well. They've been getting better and better with each event. Confidence from that OQE. I thought they played quite well there. Played very well at our last Grand Slam. So they do have a little bit of momentum heading into these Olympics.
For sure. You need that on your side. Team Sweden, Team Hasselberg, number 8 in the world, 29-14. Not awesome, not terrible, but what jumps out at me there is they've only played 43 games this year. They've played much less than the other top teams, but they did win the Euros. That's their biggest kind of event this year that they probably circled on the calendar. 2 DNQs, so didn't qualify for the playoffs in 2 slams, 2 semifinals, 1 quarterfinal in the Grand Slam. Not up to their standards for sure. Ton of experience, 2018 Olympic gold medalists, bronze in 2022. They do, and I always say this when I'm watching them, and they're fun to watch, they carry a confidence and a swagger that very few other teams can match.
I would agree with that, and especially over the last couple of years, it was evident. You could see it. They had so much more confidence. They tried to really ramp it up heading into these Olympics. They had a couple of babies, were not quite on their game.
Traveling circus is not what they
call it. A traveling circus. They brought all their babies, parents. They had the whole entourage coming, which makes things complicated. But last year and this year has been a real focus, and you can see it in them. They've got even a more intense atmosphere around them, very focused. They've got that confidence, that swagger. And even though they haven't maybe got the outcomes they wanted, they look good on the ice. And that's that immeasurable kind of it factor. They have it right now. And if they can get off to a good start, look out, Team Hasselberg would be tough to beat.
I agree. And I think they probably, I don't know what the right word is, but they probably piss off some of the other teams because of that confidence, because of that aura, because of that swagger. And it's, again, I think
it's edgy.
It's edgy. Yeah.
I like it.
I bet you a lot of the teams don't like playing against them, is my point. And that's a good thing if you're Team Hasselberg.
Yeah.
So next up, Team USA, Team Peterson, number 12 in the world, 39-21. They had to win the Olympic trials first, and then they had to go to the OQE, Olympic qualification event. So they've been through the pressure ringer already this season for sure. They did win the last spot, if I'm not mistaken, unfortunately for Team Norway, but fortunately for Team US. They did play extremely well at the Players' Championship. They were rolling in the round robin, as sometimes happen though. You go into the playoffs, and they didn't win any games in the playoffs, so they lost the quarterfinal. But showed everybody, I think, that, hey, we're we're a contender here in Italy.
Yeah, and the key for this team though is their middle. They need that middle to play up the levels of the middle of all the other top teams where you don't get very many mistakes. You have Corey Christensen, who does throw the third stone, is playing mixed doubles, and I actually think that's going to be a big advantage for Team USA because they need Corey to make those big draws for this team. She's going to be on the ice. She's going to feel really good with the speed and the draw weight. She really is the key to the success of this team. If Corey TC, my apologies, she did get married. So
It's the same person.
yeah, but if Corey TC can make those shots and take a little bit of pressure off Tabitha Peterson at skip and set up for those extra points, then I like their chances. But Corey needs to play well to keep up with all the other top thirds in this field.
Agreed. Team China. Team Wang, 15th in the world, 28-20. Not a great record. Again, all this gets thrown out the window. It's just kind of food for thought. They did win the Pan Continentals, beating Team Homan in the final. They've got that kind of feather in their cap. They did only qualified at 1 of 3 Grand Slams. She represented China in 2018 in mixed doubles, if you remember, and also played third for China in Beijing in 2022, but they missed out on the playoffs. So often we'll say this about the Chinese teams. Technically, can't find any holes. How they throw the stone, they work hard at it. But sometimes, are there some strategic errors? Not are there. I've seen some strategic errors from them that cause them trouble. And when you add in the Olympic pressure, I don't know. It's not prediction time just yet, but what does that add up to for you, Jen?
You will definitely get some strategic errors out of this team. They're just not quite, they just call such an aggressive game. They're not sure sometimes what to call, and you'll get a couple of mistakes, and it's up to the team they're playing to make sure they capitalize on it. This team is going to go under the radar. They haven't played very much over this 4 years. China hadn't played a lot. They didn't have a lot of points on the world ranking system, so they didn't qualify for a lot of the big events early. They have over the last season and a half, so we've seen a little bit more of them. But what I like about this team is they really had a ton of pressure at the last World Championship. They needed to get to the semi or the final in order to qualify for these Olympics. Tons of pressure on them, and they performed. They were exceptional. They played very well under pressure, similar to what the pressure they're going to feel at the Olympics. Their goal was to make the Olympics, and now I feel like they're free rolling, and a free rolling team is a scary team. They're happy to be there. They know they can play well, and they're going to be a team that's going to go under the radar, make tons of shots, and if they can avoid those strategic errors, they're going to have a really good week.
Yeah, good point. Lean on that. They came out of the darkness into the light at the World Championships. They weren't even really on the radar, and they show up and make a run and make the playoffs and qualify. Didn't even have to go to the OQE. Always so difficult for me to say for some reason. So next team, 16th ranked in the world, Team DuPont. Had a really good tour season. They've actually won 2 events already this year. They've won the first 2 tour events. Building momentum. Was Rachel there? No. Was Silvana there? No. But
they won.
They won. There were a lot of good teams there preparing for the Olympics, and they've been to lots of Olympics, lots of international experience. Like you said, can they make the step up into the next echelon in Italy and give themselves a chance at a medal? Tons of experience. Do have some history with one of the teams in the event. I know because I was there. I wasn't in the building, but in Korea in 2018, there was a burnt rock controversy that there's definitely scar tissue there on both sides. Maybe no love lost. Maybe I'm creating that. I don't think so. But they do play first.
Team Canada and
Team Denmark. It's the first game of the event. Get the juices flowing early for both sides. And I would say a huge game for both teams. A huge momentum builder if Team DuPont can come out with the win. And just a settling, hey, we're here. You know, we won our first game if you're Team Homan. We're supposed to do that. But that's a good team.
Yeah, it is. And Team Denmark, Madeline DuPont, tons of history, tons of experience. She's been at many Olympics. She loves to play Canada, and she loves to beat Canada. So I would expect them to play at their very best against Team Canada, against all the top teams. The big question mark for me with this team is whether the rest of the team can keep up to the rest of the field. Madeline DuPont can make all the shots. She's been around, very talented player. But can her team keep up to all the top players at their position? That remains to be seen.
Yeah, another question for the middle. Matilda and Jasmine, can they keep up with Tracy and Emma and Team Canada? It's a tough one, tough battle. But hey, I think they're coming in a little bit, not under the radar maybe, but not a lot of pressure. Is that fair to say?
I would agree.
Team Great Britain, we're getting down to it here. Team Morrison, number 19 in the world, second at the Euros, second at the Tier 2 Grand Slam. They're definitely coming in under the radar, but Jen Dodds brings a ton of experience. Olympic gold medalist from 2022. She's going to get to play in the mixed doubles with Bruce Mowat. Whether or not they win or lose, I don't think I think it depends on your personality, but for her and for Bruce, I don't think it will help them if they win. It won't hurt them if they lose.
I agree.
So, it's a big ask to have this team, I think, make a run, but I don't think it's out of the question. No?
I would be surprised a little bit with this team. I think they are talented. They just still feel a little bit young to me.
Yeah.
Not a lot of experience playing the big matches, the big teams. And so it's just a question for me whether the back end, especially at skip position, if they can keep up to the Rachel Homans, the Elena Petzes, and making sure that those big shots are made in the big moments.
And the final team, Hometown Heroes, Team Italy. Not a good year for them. 27-25. They are all the way down to number 28 in the world. They've fallen out of the Grand Slams in a big way. I still think Stefania is one of the best shot makers in the world. Strategy is definitely a question mark for me with this team. But just in case there weren't already enough things to deal with, they also made a player change, just like last week in their selection. And Rebecca Mariani is in, and her dad is also the technical director of Italian curling. So Angela Romeo is not happy. She's the one who's been left out. It is a 5-person team, but I mean, just from us, that's not normal for curling, but for sports, if your team is in the tank, you got to make a change. The family connection makes it tough to swallow. Rebecca is only 19. Again, maybe building for the future, but is now the right time. It's the Olympic Games in your home country. They have beaten everybody. They beat Team Homan more than most. Not that that's neither here nor there, but I don't know. They make a lot of shots. They got great sweeping. It looks like they should do better than they do, but they've just been in the dumpster this year. And that's just what the numbers tell us. That's not an opinion.
Yeah, just not consistent enough this season for sure, especially in that middle. With the second and the third position, it really does turn ends around, and you have to make those big draws. You have to connect on those run backs. And Team Italy, Team Constantini just has not been doing that this season and not really leaving Stefania much on her last shot. And that's really been their issue. So it's a question of whether they can turn that around. You really can't afford half shots at second and third in that middle. You really need to make sure that you're making your shots. And if you're not, your team's going to be in trouble.
Agreed. So that's the team. Those are the teams. That's a little bit of background on all of them. I mean, congrats to everybody. You're Olympians if you weren't already. That's a pretty cool thing I keep telling myself it's cool to be an Olympian. Even if you don't get a medal, it's still cool, right? I'm cool.
You're cool.
No, I'm not that cool. But let's get down to
cool.
Well, that's cool. But let's get down to it. 10 teams, 4 make the playoffs. There's 3 medals handed out. And I think it's not crazy to think that this is really a 2-horse race on paper going in for the gold medal. And that would be between Team Switzerland and Team Canada. I think that's what the numbers say. I think that's what the stats say. That's definitely, if you've been watching Grand Slams, Team Switzerland, Team Tiranzoni has been in 5 every Grand Slam final this year. They're 2-3. They've won 2, the last 2. And the 3 they lost were against Homan.
They don't have a very good record against Team Homan.
No.
I think they'll be hoping they don't play each other.
Yeah, somebody help us out. Yeah. Somebody help us out. We're going to try and get to our final because that's what we do. And if somebody could knock off that Canadian team, that'd be great because we think we can handle the rest of you. But I think where we start here, and in mixed doubles, we started with a congratulations, you're an Olympian, but you're not getting a medal. I don't know that there's really that group here. I think you start with the middle of the pack group here for me. And for me, it's Great Britain, Denmark, Italy, China, USA, and Japan. We kind of commented on each of them, so I don't think we have to go into super great depth. But of those teams, if we had to pick one to surprise, it's hard. I mean, I think the Americans have a good shot. Maybe that's crazy. Japan could get on a run. China's so good. Italy, I don't see it coming together with the pressure and everything else. The talent is there, but I don't see it. Denmark for sure. And Great Britain would be the other one that I don't think. I would agree with you on that one. I just don't think they're quite there yet. But those are the ones that I don't see making the playoffs.
Yeah, I think China could surprise a lot of people. They've been very impressive from what I've seen over the last few weeks, watching that team. Just very consistent, don't make a lot of big mistakes other than strategy. So that's the big question mark with that team. And they may skip themselves into a position where they can't win because the shots aren't being called correctly, but they're being executed. So I wouldn't be surprised if China was in that mix.
Okay, that's your kind of dark horse because I think the top 4 teams, they don't pick themselves. The top 2 do. I already said Canada, Switzerland. I'm pretty confident nobody's going to argue with me on that. I mean, people might say, if there's a knock against Homan, it's the Olympics and she hasn't been great, but she's won the last 2 world championships. She's been the best team in the world by a large margin. When they get there, it's still curling on ice and they've been there, done that now. So I think Langer's locks, that's as easy as they come. Those two teams in the playoffs. Sweden, I've got Sweden making the playoffs. Team Hasselberg, too much experience, too much swagger, as we talked about, too much confidence. Whether it's, based in recent stats or not, doesn't matter. They know it, they believe it. So that kind of makes it true. But when the chips are down, they're just capable. They've been there and done that. So I've got them. I got them as one of the four. And then the final of the four is Korea. I think, so many people talk about it being a skips game, but keep your eye on Min Ji Kim, the third. People more and more are talking. I'll give credit to John Cullen, who he pointed her out. Started last year. He said she's one of the top 5 curlers in the women's game. And I said, okay, I'll watch. And I've been watching. Cullen's not often right, but he's right on this one.
Yeah, and again, she's been kind of sought after for a number of years. She was very good in junior, playing third, and almost could be throwing that last stone. She's very good, very consistent. That's a team. That's my question mark for the playoffs, in my opinion. Again, I love this team. I think they're so good, but right now they're not rolling very well. So of all the teams, and everybody wants to get off to a good start, but Team Gim, Team Korea must get off to that good start because they just haven't played the way they want to play. They need to get that confidence. And once they get the confidence, they play a game where they need confidence. They play a very aggressive game. And if they can get that confidence early, then I think you're going to see that swagger come to them, and they'll be very tough to beat. But if they don't start off very well, you're going to see Team China or Team Japan really jump in and grab that last playoff spot.
I can't argue with you, but you did promise you weren't going to disagree with me this time.
Oh, sorry.
No, you didn't. I'm just kidding. That's pretty much a wrap, I think. A good summary of the teams, who's going to be around, but I think we do have to pick a gold medalist, Langer's locks, and this one's on me. So this is a tough one for me, but I think this is it. I think Rachel's going to break through. I'm wearing the Team Canada jersey. This is the unlucky one from 2018, Rachel. So hopefully the new one's in 2022. I'd love to see a gold medal come back to Canada. I didn't pick Brent and Joss, although I am cheering for them, but we'll see what happens in the mixed doubles. We'll go on to the men's in the next one, but I've got Team Homan. I think they get off to a good start. They beat Team DuPont in the first game, and I think that's a great start for them if they get the win. If they don't, delete this episode maybe, but no, I think it's their time. That's Langer's lock. Lock it in. Ride with me, fade me, please chirp me, but Langer's locks are here to stay. So that is the ladies' event.
Well, that was so much fun.
I liked it.
Yeah. And I know we are really in for some amazing action in this ladies curling event in Italy. So many talented teams, some great personalities. You're going to see a lot of rocks in play from a lot of the teams. Some of them like to keep it simple, but there will be lots of rocks in play. And I really can't wait to call the games for CBC and see how all of the playoffs kind of land and see
how it rolls out, eh?
Yeah, and see who gets to live that ultimate Olympic dream of becoming that Olympic gold medalist and standing on top of that podium, hearing your national anthem being played. I just can't get enough of the Olympics.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I love it. There's some scar tissue for me, but I am super excited. I'll be in Milan watching all the finals of the men's and ladies. I'll be home for the mixed doubles and tuning in for that as well. But there's always surprises and upsets, and I can't tell you who they're going to be. And I didn't really pick any yet, but the heavy favorites on the ladies' side, they're just too good. So there are a number of medal contenders. Maybe this will age well. Maybe it won't. That's the problem with the internet. It doesn't go away. But we are wrapping up here. But first, we're going to dive into Rockstar Rapid Fire. I think I'm going to limit it to one question and make Jen answer it today because I'm not feeling like being peppered. So let's see what do we got here. Oh, this one you get all the time. You're a pro at this one. So this one, it says, this one's for Jen. How do you balance it all? Olympian, lawyer, entrepreneur, mother, commentator. You have to take care of your husband, because he's incapable. That's kind of rude, but that's in there too. How do you fit it all in?
I think the biggest thing, and I always say, is to make sure you celebrate all the little accomplishments every day, because it is hard to do so many different things and feel like you're not failing. Just be in the moment, live in the moment, try to be really present when you're doing whatever you're doing, and don't feel guilty when you're missing out. I know when I was curling, I would try to be 100% focused on that game and enjoy it and not feel guilty that I was not home with my kids. But when I was with the girls and the kids, I would make sure that I was fully present, try not to be on my phone, and really give them 100% of my time. So I don't think the word balance helps us in the world. I think it makes us feel like we're always trying to strive for something that's always equal. And there's ebbs and flows. And just make sure you're fully present in whatever you're doing. Give that thing 100% of your attention so that you're always living in the moment, enjoying every second of it. soaking it up and living life to the fullest.
I like it. Even when your husband's making you feel bad for being away, just be where your feet are, ignore that noise, right?
Yeah, that one's harder to ignore.
Oh, come on.
So, and just always try to take a little bit of time for yourself.
Yeah, okay. So that's how you fit it all in?
That's how I fit it all in.
Okay, that was a tough one.
And I don't sleep enough, but I'm trying to get better at that.
Yeah. Okay, that was a tough one. I'll let you ask me one. There is one there for me if you...
Okay, so one for Brent. What has been the transition from playing to coaching as you've been working with Team McEwen?
What's the transition like? Oh, it's kept me in the game, which is fun. Same as the commentary, but the coaching I really enjoy. It's the same idea. It's the same, you wake up thinking about how do we get that 1% better? How do we find those marginal gains? What are the best teams doing? It's all the same questions. And in some ways it's great because I don't have to work so hard to fix them. I just have to say, this is what you got to do. If you don't do it, it won't work. If you do it, it will work. I don't have to do the work, which is nice. So no, it's been fun. I do love the coaching. The guys are great. I would only do it for, people I really enjoy being around, or for a program or something that was super important to me that I thought would make an impact. And yeah, they're great guys. They're excited for the Brier. The trials didn't go their way. And, Mikey's knocked on the door. Maybe it's his year this year. I don't know.
He would be beyond emotional to
I can't Lainger's lock that one. I can't pick them because I'm on the team. I'm the 5th player, so I got to avoid the Brier this year. So, but yeah, it's been fun. I love it. And I love the sport of curling, and I love watching the best do what they do, and the game continues to evolve. And I like trying to not just keep up with it, but almost try and stay ahead of it.
And you are exceptional at it. I will give you that. Exceptional.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's not even in the script, folks. She just said that one. So
there is nobody better and quicker at strategy than you, like seeing angles. And that's why it's great in mixed doubles, and how fast you can see how the game is going to evolve that end, and how the strategy works. And so having you on a bench would be a huge asset to any team.
Wayne Madot taught me that. He says, if you're always the first one with the answer, people are going to think you're smart. So you don't even have to be right. You just got to be adamant.
Well, you do say it with a lot of conviction.
Hey, a little swagger never hurt.
Yeah.
I went through that. But no, that's a part of the game I do love. But we're wrapping up here. As always, we appreciate everybody tuning in, but follow along on our socials. Send us any podcast topics and Rockstar rapid fire questions. Thanks to those who have already. It's at @BLang99 on X and at JJonesCurl on Instagram. And tell everyone you know how great we are, but only if you actually believe it. Even if you don't, we'll get better, we promise. But any podcast topic suggestions, fire away. We just want to give the people what they want, as I said, right? Give them what they want, they'll keep coming back.
And thank you so much for tuning in, everyone. Keep rocking the chaos, chasing adventures, loving the ride, and never stop dreaming. See you next time on Rockstars.